Well, splash dams were an important part of early logging in Wyoming's Bighorn Mountains, as well as other areas. We recently stumbled upon the remnants of a splash dam on the Tongue River while we were up in the Bighorn Mountains exploring. So splash dams, also known as surge dams or flash dams, were part of a primitive transportation system used by loggers to move logs and railroad ties from forests to sawmills. In the case of the splash dam in the Bighorn Mountains that we found recently, the timber was moved from the forested mountains down to a location in the valley. Once the splash dam was constructed in a river, logs would then be rolled into the river while water was backing up behind the dam. Once everything was ready, the splash dam gate was opened and the water would flush the logs through to small ponds near a flume entrance further downstream. Now, flume is a raised wooden structure shaped like a V that helped to carry the logs further down the river. In the case of the Bighorn Mountains splash dam, which is on the Tongue River, the logs were floated all the way to Dayton, Wyoming. Now, amazingly, logs and railroad ties moving through the flume reportedly reached speeds of up to 80 miles an hour. So I would not want to be in front of one of those things. And to put that in context, that's our current speed limit on the interstate highways out here in Wyoming, as well as some other western states. And I don't drive that fast. I drive like 65, 65. People are zipping by me all the time. So we're talking highway speed traffic as these logs are going through these flumes on these little streams in the mountains. Construction of the flume on the Tongue River began as early as 1892, while this splash dam was built around 1905 by the Sandberg and Hall Logging Company. So tie hacking, or making railroad ties out of timber, was an important industry in Wyoming during the late 1800s and early 1900s. In addition to steel for rails and spikes, construction of railroads required large numbers of wooden ties. And the way they got those ties was by harvesting timber from the mountains and then floating the timber downstream to sawmills where it'd be converted into, made up into whatever was needed, like railroad ties. So remnants of the tie hacking industry are still visible at various locations of Wyoming forests, including this site on the Tongue River in the Bighorn National Forest that we found, and another one I read about afterwards that's in the Medicine Bow Route National Forest in southeast Wyoming. Another gorgeous area down there. The use of splash dams allowed logging companies to move many more logs to sawmills than would have been possible relying only on the natural flow of the streams, often expanding the season during which logs could be floated downstream. Otherwise, in many cases, it would only be in the springtime, and this allowed them to have a longer season when they could get the timber downstream to sawmills. Splash dams ranged from 50 feet wide to several hundred feet wide and were often only used for 1 to several years. I'm not sure if that's because of them wearing out or because of they harvested what they wanted to harvest for timber in an area. This one that we saw is apparently more than 100 years old, and it's still standing anyways. Surprisingly good condition for being in the water for that many years. So splash dams are known to have been used in the U.S. from around 1860 until around 1930. Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Virginia, Utah, Idaho, and Wyoming all apparently had splash dams in operation in the past. Well, this was kind of an interesting discovery we made when we found this spot. Neither Melanie nor I had ever seen one before, so it was pretty interesting. And we just happened to be driving by this road, and right in a horseshoe bend on a dirt Forest Service road, and right in a horseshoe bend, we saw this interesting structure on the river. Had to stop and check it out. So I hope you enjoyed the scenery in this video and seeing this interesting historic structure, and maybe learning a little bit more about tie hacking and splash dams. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button if you haven't already. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're not already for more travel-related content and videos like this. And let me know what you think in the comments. Have you ever heard of splash dams before? You ever seen one before? This was the first time either one of us had seen one, so it was kind of an interesting discovery. Well, thanks for joining me in this video, everybody. We'll catch you in the next one.